they always said I'm wrong, but what they doing today? I think they want me gone, but I ain't going away. They told me I was wrong, but look at my ass today. Da 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 da.
Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim Kelly. This is the Real Sports Talk. You can follow me on Twitter at CashKelly _TRST, KASH Kelly _TRST. The big discussion as we head into NFL Week 16, season winding down, playoff chase is getting really exciting. The big discussion has been MVP Adrian Peterson, who in many people's mind has become the front runner. I've kind of been on the bandwagon for a few weeks now, versus Peyton Manning, who has a chance to add on to his record of most MVPs. Peyton Manning has 4 MVPs. That's already an NFL record. He has a very good chance this year to win his 5th NFL MVP. And look, I think we all know what that would mean to Peyton Manning. If Peyton Manning were to win another NFL MVP, win another Super Bowl, at least one, I mean, who knows? I don't know how much longer he's going to play for. He signed a 5-year deal. Who knows? But I think that he's put himself in position to, when it's all said and done, be one of the guys that's right up there for the greatest quarterback of all time discussion. And with the greatest quarterback of all time discussion, if you can be in that discussion, you can be in the greatest NFL player of all time discussion. As far as the MVP this year, though, Peyton Manning is not the NFL MVP. You know, Adrian Peterson has had a season this year that he should. I don't know if he should win the Comeback Player of the Year award, because while Adrian Peterson's comeback has been quicker, I think almost more impressive, what Peyton Manning came back from when people were saying that he had a noodle arm, that his arm was a vegetable, he would never be able to do this again, that's incredible. We've seen people come back from ACLs, just not this quickly. I mean, both of these guys in any other year would be Comeback Player of the Years, and MVP-wise, though, I'm not sure Peyton Manning would be an MVP another year. I mean, you look at his last year in Indianapolis in 2010, he threw 33 touchdowns, he did throw 17 picks, which is really probably what kept him out of the MVP discussion. This year he's thrown 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That season he threw for 4,700 yards. This year he's thrown for 4,016. He had a quarterback rating then of 66. He has one about 67, 68 right now. I mean, Peyton Manning has not done anything this year that we haven't come to expect from Peyton Manning. The thing that Peyton Manning has been able to do is the one time in his career since when he's been a rookie that we really doubted Peyton Manning, he has come back with a bang. And he's convinced America, a lot of people, that because he's come back with that bang, he's the best there is, and he's the MVP. And look, there's been no bigger supporter of Peyton Manning since I've started this show on the internet. I'm a big Peyton Manning guy. I think he's the greatest quarterback of all time. I've gone back and I've studied history, believe me. But Adrian Peterson, what he has meant to the Vikings this year has been... he has been invaluable to that team this year. You look at defensively, have they improved? Yes. The secondary has gotten much better than it was last year in Minnesota. But then you look around that offense. What other weapons are there truly on that offense? The best weapon out there right now is Kyle Rudolph. Let's take a second to take that in. Kyle Rudolph. Is he a good tight end? Yes, he's a good tight end. Is he an elite tight end? No. Is he top 10? Probably not. Maybe. Percy Harvin, I understand he's been there. Since Percy Harvin has gone out, Adrian Peterson has stepped his game up. He's kept the Vikings, really, he's put them in a position to be a playoff team. They're 8-6 now. And Lord knows, if you take Adrian Peterson off this offense, you're talking about a team that is 4 or 5 at least less wins. Because this is a team that has been led by Christian Ponder at the quarterback spot. He has been less than, what's the word here? He's been less than impressive this season, to say the least. And offensively, I think without Adrian Peterson, without Percy Harvin for 4 or 5 weeks this season, 6 almost, you would not have a Vikings team anywhere near the playoffs. Adrian Peterson on the cover of SI today has absolutely come back. I think he is going to break the rushing record, and regardless of whether he does or doesn't, I think for what he's meant to that offense, that team, you have to make him the MVP. Both of these stories have been incredible. Peyton Manning goes to the neck surgery, misses an entire season. You hear reports that he might end up having to never play again because the injury is so bad. The Colts, who is by far the greatest player in their franchise's history, release him going in the direction of Andrew Luck. You know, you think that Peyton Manning, that might be it as we know it for Peyton Manning. He might come back, but he's not going to do this. He's come back and he's gone straight back to work, and he's done it in less passes this year. I've been extremely impressed by what Peyton Manning has done this year. So I don't want anyone to get the wrong sense. And has he had a season that is among the elite players? Of course he has. But Adrian Peterson, let's think about what happened to him. I think it was the last game of the season last year. Adrian Peterson tears his ACL. He gets arrested in the offseason, which he later got off on, I believe. I don't know the exact details of that, so I'm not going to speak too much more on it, but you get the point. And he comes into this season, people are saying he got arrested, he's coming off an ACL, and for someone like me, who since Adrian Peterson's rookie year, when there were a lot of doubters of him, could he stay healthy coming out of Oklahoma, there were a lot of doubters of Adrian Peterson, and he proved me wrong, and a lot of people wrong early on with how well he played. He played at a level that led you to believe that he was destined to be a Hall of Famer someday. And I think that he's locked that up pretty much this year. But coming into this year, I thought, well, his career's hit a crossroads. He only played 12 games last year. For the first time in his career, didn't rush for 1,000 yards. He was only 30 short, but still. He got arrested in the offseason. He's coming off an ACL injury. This might be one of those guys that we say, if he did not get hurt, then Adrian Peterson had a chance to be one of the greatest running backs in NFL history. What has he done instead? He's come back with career highs in yards rushed for, yards per carry, touchdowns. He's not going to have a career high, but he's likely going to have his second highest total before it's all said and done. Adrian Peterson has killed it for this team. The Vikings at the beginning of this year, who had them making the playoffs? Who had them even winning the 8 games they've won this year? No one. No one. I looked at that division, I said, look, there's the Bears, look really good on paper this year. Adding Brandon Marshall in was huge. You had the Packers, who we all knew were going to be in a situation like how they are now, and we thought the Lions were going to be better. And then the Vikings looked like a 4-12 team to me coming into this year. And what has Adrian Peterson done? He's made up for so many of the things on that offense, so many of the inabilities of Christian Ponder, the lack of great depth at the receiver position. He's made up for that. He's put this team on his back. This is the absolute definition of putting a team on your back. When it is counted, Adrian Peterson this season has stepped up. He's put this team on his back, and he has won them some huge games. And look, I'm not just saying this based off the last 2 or 3 weeks. Adrian Peterson as an MVP candidate has been on my radar the entire time. But these last few weeks is when he's really gone from being on my radar to being the guy. And I'm sitting today in one of my classes reading an article on ESPN.com about the MVP favorites. One was talking about how, well, if Chris Johnson didn't even get a vote the other year, then Adrian Peterson shouldn't get a vote either. And I just sat back and laughed because Tom Brady had a great year in 2010, the year Chris Johnson ran for 2,000 yards. He had a great season. But he didn't do this for his team. He did not do what Adrian Peterson is doing. Should he have gotten MVP votes? Yes, he should have. And I felt that at the time. But we shouldn't not give one guy a vote because some guy 3 years ago almost didn't get votes back then. That doesn't make any sense. And then I go to their top 5 for MVP. I'm looking down, I'm like, okay, it's either going to be Peyton or Adrian Peterson at 1. So it's Peyton Manning at 1, and then I'm like, alright, so they're going to have Adrian Peterson at 2. I disagree, but whatever. And then I look at, and Tom Brady's name is there. And quite honestly, I think Tom Brady and Peyton Manning have had comparable seasons. I think people got a little swept up in the 28-0 comeback that the Broncos had on the Monday Night Football game. I think that since then, the Broncos have not had a very difficult schedule. I'm not taking away from what they've done, but Peyton Manning the last few weeks, what has he really done? He's thrown 200. He threw for like 200 yards last week. I'm not trying to make a case of why I don't think Peyton Manning is the guy, but I'm just kind of proving that, you know, Adrian Peterson, this is the year that he truly has been the most valuable player. And by the way, on that list, Aaron Rodgers was at 3. You cannot convince me that those guys, just because they play the quarterback position, which I understand is the most valuable position in sports, I'm not stupid. But if you have sat down and watched these games, I have the red zone and I've gone back and rewatched some of the games afterwards of all these teams and all the teams in the NFL. There has not been a player in the NFL in my mind who has meant more to his team than what Adrian Peterson has meant this year. And I'm not usually one of the guys who says, well, if you take this guy off his team, what would they have without him? Usually I say give the MVP to the best player. This year, if you take Adrian Peterson off the Minnesota Vikings, they're screwed. They're a 2 or 3 win team, and he's had the best season. There's no question in my mind who the NFL MVP is in 2012. It is Adrian Peterson. What he's done, and look, there's still 2 more weeks. Adrian Peterson, I think, could lock it up for sure if he wins the, or if he breaks the rushing record, which is going to be hard. He's got to rush for almost 300 yards in the next 2 games. But at the pace he's going right now, averaging about 160 a game over the last 6 games, you get the feeling that Adrian Peterson is going to keep the magic going, carry the Vikings into the playoffs, and if he does that, there is no doubt in my mind Adrian Peterson is your 2012 NFL MVP. I'll see you guys later.